And then Isabella appeared. She descended gracefully in a flowing blue gown. Then she locked her hand firmly in Adrian's. Cameras flashed wildly. The sister they had expected to laugh at had arrived as a queen. Isabella had been betrayed by her twin sister, robbed of her job, her romantic relationship, and the dignity she had worked so hard to earn. In one ruthless move, everything Isabella held dear was stripped away. For a moment, despair pressed her to the ground. But she refused to stay down. If Cassandra thought she had buried her, she was wrong. Isabella had vowed to rise from the ashes, not just to reclaim what was stolen, but to build something greater. She was determined to make the world taste her triumph. "You'll never be enough. Not for him, and not for anyone." Those were Cassandra's words, sharp and cold, aimed straight at Isabella, her twin sister. They landed like a blade. Isabella wasn't shocked. She had gotten used to cruelty from Cassandra, her twin sister, but the sting of betrayal still pierced her heart. 2 years earlier, Isabella had made a choice. Never again would Cassandra control her emotions. The decision came the day her sister stole the man who once promised to marry her. He was her boss, and she had loved him, trusted him, and believed in him. But he had chosen Cassandra, and his betrayal broke her. In her lowest moment, desperate for dignity, Isabella agreed to marry a man the world mocked, a humble janitor no one respected. What she didn't know was that behind his quiet, simple life, he was a billionaire in disguise. And 2 months later, when Cassandra's grand wedding filled the city with glamour, it became the very stage for Isabella's revenge. That night the tables turned, and the whole city rejoiced with her. Before we continue, I want to appreciate you for being here. You are welcome to Chetnal Stories. Please don't forget to like the story and subscribe to my channel. Also, drop your thoughts in the comment section. Isabella and Cassandra were born identical, but their hearts were never quite the same. As little girls, they were inseparable, sharing toys, secrets, and even finishing each other's sentences. Isabella was the gentle one, always ready to give, to share the last piece of bread, and to help Cassandra with her homework. Cassandra, bold and restless, loved the spotlight, and she thrived on being noticed. But as they grew older, differences sharpened into division. Teachers praised Isabella's patience and discipline, while Cassandra craved attention and resented living in her sister's shadow. Their parents compared them often. "Why can't you be more like Isabella?" Words that stung Cassandra like poison. Resentment took root. By their teenage years, what was once love became competition. Cassandra envied Isabella's quiet grace and the trust people placed in her. Isabella, hurt by her sister's constant mockery and cruelty, withdrew, still hoping deep down that Cassandra would come back to her. The love that once bound them slowly eroded into rivalry. Cassandra stopped seeing Isabella as her twin, her mirror, her safe place. Instead, she saw her as the obstacle, standing between her and the life of admiration she believed she deserved. They further drew apart when they lost their parents to terminal sickness. Years later, Isabella got a job in an advertising agency. She had a great romantic relationship with her boss. They worked on the same projects. On a particular day, as Isabella's went to hand over a file to her boss, her hands shook around the folder she carried into the office. The report she had poured weeks of sleepless nights into. This was because of the sight she saw. As she stepped out into the lobby, the sight before her erased every shred of hope. Her twin sister, Cassandra, stood in the lobby with Michael. Their boss, Isabella's fiancé, his arm wrapped tightly around her waist. Cassandra's smirk said everything. This wasn't an accident. This was betrayal, cold and deliberate. "You with him?" Isabella's voice cracked. Cassandra tilted her head, adjusting her blazer as though she had already claimed victory. "Why not? You thought he loved you? He tolerated you. You were convenient until I showed him what real life and ambition looks like." Michael didn't even flinch. He didn't deny it. He only smiled faintly, confirming the truth that shattered Isabella's chest. Tears stung her eyes. "I gave you everything, both of you." Cassandra's eyes hardened. "And that's your problem, Isabella. You give, you sacrifice, and you think people will reward you for it. But life doesn't work that way. People don't notice you. They replace you." The words cut deep. Then Cassandra turned her chin toward the far end of the hallway. where a man in grey coveralls was pushing a mop. "Why don't you marry him?" She sneered. "He is a janitor. He's perfect for you, my twin sister. Plain forgettable, just like you." Michael chuckled and Cassandra smirked. Their laughter was more than Isabella could bear, but she was helpless. The janitor stared at them. Then he walked slowly towards Isabella. He was very handsome. His steps were measured, his eyes steady. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. "You don't deserve this," he said to Isabella. Isabella startled, blinking through her tears. "Don't pity me." "It's not pity," he said firmly. "It's the truth. They don't see your worth." "But I do." Her heart stumbled. "Why would you even say that?" "You don't know me." He didn't waver. "Because I know what it feels like to be underestimated, to be told you're nothing." "But you're not nothing, Isabella. You are more than they'll ever admit." Her lips trembled. "Why are you telling me this? How did you even know my name?" He stepped closer. Then quietly but deliberately he asked, "Do you want revenge?" The air froze. The word burned in her chest. "What are you talking about?" "I mean exactly what I said. If you want to take your life back, if you want them to regret every word, then marry me." She let out a hollow laugh. "Marry you? I don't even know your name. Moreover, you're just a janitor and I am—" She couldn't finish. Her throat closed. His jaw tightened. "Yes, you wanted to say that you are better than me? Anyway, you see a janitor. But I promise you I'm more than that. Marry me and you'll never bow your head again in shame again." Her heart ached, torn between disbelief and something she hadn't felt in months, hope. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you're stronger than you think," he said simply. "And because I see you, I really see you." Cassandra's laughter rang out again from across the hall, sharp and cruel. "Yes, he is your type. A janitor. You both deserve each other," Cassandra said. Isabella clenched her fists. Shame twisted into something else, like confidence. Her voice trembled, but the words came. "Yes, I will marry you." The man's eyes softened. "My name is Adrian Cole, and from the first day you stepped in here, I saw you when no one else did. I have always been rooting for you without you knowing me." 3 days later, Isabella and Adrian were standing beneath the buzzing lights of a courthouse. She had made up her mind to marry Adrian. At first, she thought it was a crazy idea, but she later told herself that it was time to take a crazy decision for the first time in her life. The vows were plain, the papers signed quickly, and when the clerk asked if she took him as her husband, her lips trembled and she whispered, "I do." By the time she stepped outside the courthouse with her husband, her world had shifted. 4 black cars waited outside for them. Guards opened doors with precision. Isabella climbed in with anticipation for a new life. They later took a private jet to Adrian's house. Inside the jet, Isabella kept on wondering if she had made a good decision. Her heart was pounding and wondering if she would finally experience pure and genuine love. On the private jet soaring above the clouds, Adrian finally revealed the truth. "My name is Adrian Cole. The world knows me as more than a janitor. But I wanted you to see me before the world did. And from this day forward, Isabella, you will never bow your head again." Later, they arrived at an estate hidden behind towering walls. Marble floors gleamed. Servants bowed. Isabella's head spun. "What is this place?" she whispered. Adrian's voice was calm. "Your new home and new beginning." Her breath caught. She had married a billionaire in disguise. Adrian Cole had built his fortune from hard work. After years of sleeping in rundown apartments and working odd jobs, he rose from the dust by creating a logistics empire that grew into shipping, real estate, and eventually global tech investments. By the time he was 35, he was worth billions. But despite his success, Adrian never forgot the sting of being dismissed, laughed at or ignored when he had nothing. That memory shaped how he did business. Adrian believed wealth revealed who people pretended to be, but disguise revealed who they truly were. So, before acquiring companies, he often slipped into their lowest ranks, working quietly as a driver, a warehouse hand, or in this case, a janitor. It was his way of studying character from the shadows. Michael's company had been on Adrian's radar for months. The numbers looked good, but whispers of arrogance and corruption reached his ears. So he put on grey coveralls, pushed a mop and watched. And that was when he saw Isabella. Unlike the others who brushed past him as if he were invisible, she acknowledged him with small kindnesses, holding the elevator, greeting him with a smile even when she looked exhausted, treating him like a person when others barely saw him as human. Those quiet gestures struck him deeper than the flattery he received as a billionaire. Isabella's compassion wasn't calculated. It was natural. And when he watched her endure betrayal from both Michael and Cassandra, Adrian knew he had seen enough. This wasn't just business anymore. He had found the one person who saw worth beyond appearances, the one he wanted by his side forever. Getting married to Isabella was a dream come true for Adrian. 2 months passed in peace. Adrian loved her with patience, listened to her dreams, and slowly healed the jagged wounds Cassandra had left. Then one morning a letter arrived, with Cassandra's handwriting slashed across it. "You disappeared, but you must come to my wedding. It will be the biggest this city has ever seen. It's going to take place at the Oregon airport. Everyone will be there. You wouldn't want to miss it." Arrogant and mocking, Cassandra, her twin sister, was certain that Isabella was still broken. But Isabella wasn't. Not anymore. She had stopped allowing the betrayal to worry her. She decided to cast her mind back to how her twin sister betrayed her and took over Michael. Isabella had always been the quiet strength in the company. As Michael's executive assistant, she carried herself with a diligence that made her the backbone of the office. Long nights, endless reports, and a loyalty that never wavered slowly caught Michael's eye. He admired the way she related with the clients and the way she handled crises with calm precision. What started as professional respect grew into late-night dinners, stolen glances, and eventually a romance. When he slipped a diamond ring onto Isabella's finger one evening after work, Isabella's heart swelled with joy. For the first time, she believed her sacrifices had finally led her to happiness. She was engaged to her boss, the man she loved, and she couldn't wait to share the news. But that joy was short-lived. One Friday afternoon, Isabella's twin sister Cassandra showed up at the office. Unlike Isabella's modest elegance, Cassandra arrived draped in luxury she couldn't afford, her confidence sharp and unnerving. "Isabella," she purred, hugging her sister tightly before her eyes flicked toward Michael, who had just stepped into the office. The moment their gazes locked, Isabella's stomach twisted. She saw something in Michael's eyes she had never seen before, curiosity mixed with dangerous interest. Cassandra, sensing it, leaned into her charm like a predator tasting blood. She laughed at his jokes, touched his arm as she spoke, and whispered things Isabella couldn't hear. What started as a casual visit stretched into repeated appearances. Coffee runs, lunch breaks, late meetings where Cassandra just happened to stop by. At first, Isabella brushed it off, convincing herself Michael was loyal. But the cracks began to show. The late calls he didn't explain. The distance in his eyes when he looked at her. The whispers in the office halls. The day it all came crashing down was the day. Isabella walked into Michael's office with a file and found Cassandra perched on his desk, his arm wrapped around her waist. The engagement ring on Isabella's finger suddenly felt like a shackle. Her world collapsed. Not just because her fiancé had betrayed her, but because her own sister, the one person who should have protected her, was the dagger in her back. Isabella pulled her thoughts together and heaved a sigh of relief that Adrian had stepped in and married her. Out of curiosity, she decided to attend her twin sister's wedding. Adrian promised to attend with her. The day of the wedding arrived. The private airport glittered with chandeliers, red carpets and flashing cameras. Cassandra stood in a dazzling white gown, Michael smug at her side. Guests whispered eagerly. Cassandra waited for Isabella to appear alone. She was eager to humiliate her twin sister. Then the roar of engines silenced the crowd. A silver jet descended, sleek and commanding. When the staircase lowered, the first to step out was Adrian Cole himself, in a dark, tailored suit. Gasps erupted. Whispers spread like wildfire. And then Isabella appeared. She descended gracefully in a flowing blue gown. Then she locked her hand firmly in Adrian's. Cameras flashed wildly. The sister they had expected to laugh at had arrived as a queen. Cassandra's smile faltered. Michael's jaw tightened. Isabella stopped in front of her twin sister, her voice steady, her eyes burning. You invited me to humiliate me. But today I stand beside the man you mocked, the man you dismissed, the man who has more power than you could ever dream of. Adrian's voice cut the silence, sharp as steel. You once pointed at me and called me a janitor. Today you bow to the truth of who I am. The crowd erupted in whispers. Cameras snapped. Cassandra's bouquet almost slipped from her trembling hands. Isabella stepped closer, her voice clear and cutting. You told me I'd never be enough. But look at you now, Cassandra. On the day meant to crown you, all anyone sees is your shame. You built this moment to destroy me. Instead, it destroyed you. Tears welled in Cassandra's eyes. Her arrogance shattered before the city she had tried to impress. Michael lowered his gaze, too ashamed to meet hers. Isabella turned, lifting her chin, her hand tight in Adrian's. Together they walked past the cameras, past the gasps, across the red carpet. And for the first time in her life, Isabella didn't just survive her sister's cruelty. She had conquered. She had won. 2 months after the grand wedding, Adrian quietly began making bold moves in the business world. Unknown to many, he had been studying Michael's company for years, waiting for the right moment. With his sharp mind and vast resources, Adrian outmaneuvered Michael in a series of strategic takeovers. Within months, the once powerful Michael was stripped of control, and Adrian stood as the new owner of his empire. Cassandra, who had schemed her way into Michael's life by betraying her own twin, was shattered. She had stolen her sister's man, hoping to secure wealth and power, only to watch it crumble before her eyes. The man she fought so hard to win had nothing left, while Adrian, the very man her twin had chosen, rose higher than ever. In the end, Cassandra was left with regret and bitterness. The great lesson about betrayal is the fact that it can break you, but only if you let it. Isabella's twin tried to crush her dignity, rob her of love, and convince her she was nothing. Yet in her lowest moment, she found strength, chose courage, and discovered her true worth. The lesson: never measure your value by the way others treat you. People may laugh at you, look down on you, or try to write you off, but their opinion doesn't define your destiny. Sometimes the very stone the builders reject becomes the cornerstone. Isabella's pain became her platform. Her shame turned into strength, and the tables were turned in a way no one expected. Don't let betrayal make you bitter. Let it make you stronger. What was meant to break you can become the very thing that lifts you higher. If you refuse to bow your head, don't forget to subscribe and leave your thoughts about the story. Until the next video, stay hopeful and kind.